Welcome to Fathers and Daughters, a podcast where we discuss important topics and current issues from a biblical perspective that are relative to fathers and daughters.
Please subscribe and email us at fdpodcast@yahoo.com with questions or episode topic suggestions. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fathers and Daughters.
Whoop, whoop. This is episode 3. I hope you guys listened to episode 2 where we talk about fashion. I feel like there was so much that we didn't talk about.
We will for sure do fashion part 2.
So I think we're going to have to do fashion part 2 later.
That's fine.
But before we start this episode, I just want to say thank you to some listeners who have sent us feedback. We got an email from my friend Bill who said our audio sounds pretty good.
Oh, thanks, Bill.
And we're just doing this out of our home office.
And Celine.
We got an email from Celine. She's one of the best wedding coordinators. She said that she has an amazing relationship with her dad, and she's excited that we're doing this, and she likes it.
Heck yeah.
So that's good.
Everyone who gave us a shout out on Instagram was great. Thanks for all your feedback. We're super appreciative.
Yeah, so thank you for your encouragement. And I also want to make one thing clear, that this is not a Christian podcast. I don't want people to think that this is a Christian podcast. Like, what's that anyways? This is a podcast about us, and Christ is a big part of our life. So obviously when we talk about things, we can't get them out. It's like taking an engine out of a car, right? So
this is a podcast about relationships. Being in a relationship with your dad or with your daughter is a key factor to being healthy. And so I think, like you said, it's like taking the engine out of a car. It's true because Christ is a big part of our lives. And we'd love to talk more and more in depth with anyone who wants to talk about that. But this podcast is just about relationships.
Yeah. And for us, it's just what works. I mean, a lot of what we do and how we live, our fundamentals come from the Bible. So that's what we're going to share because that's what worked with us. And if, you want to try it, great. If you just want to hear what we are sharing, great. But this is just a podcast about us, and I hope you just enjoy listening to us and
thanks again for all your feedback.
Our stories, and thanks again. So having said that,
welcome back to week 3. This episode we're going to be talking about music. You just turned 46. Happy 46th birthday.
Thank you. The big 46.
The big 46. That only means 4 more years until you can retire. That's the main...
From my first job.
It's the main takeaway.
I'm not going to stop working. I'm too young to stop working.
I agree.
But I'm ready for a new adventure.
Cool. Yeah. Well, happy 46th birthday.
Thank you.
We celebrated by staying home and making sushi and watching the new Elton John movie, Rocket Man.
Rocket Man was awesome.
It was fantastic. Those of you who don't like it, you're insane.
You just told Mom she was insane.
She is insane.
She's not very big about musicals, though, so I think that's why.
I think there wasn't that precursor going into the movie knowing that it was going to be a musical. So,
but she loved the live show, so... I mean, she loves Elton John's music.
Yeah.
She's just not big into musicals, except for The Biggest Showman.
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman.
And Mamma Mia. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So, Rocket Man was great. And then we made your favorite, Angel Food Cake.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of hung out for the night. It was really fun. We played What Do You Meme? Which is a game where you pair like a really silly saying or phrase with a meme. And it's just really fun. So, happy 46th birthday.
Thank you. I'm very excited for today's episode because music is a big part of our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
Music was big for me growing up. I mean, it's part of what we do. It pays the bills.
It's part of what we do. So for those of you who don't know, my dad actually owns a company called Musket Entertainment, and we provide DJ services for different types of events for weddings, graduation parties, bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
Birthday parties, the whole shebang. We do all of the things. So he started that company, 14 years ago?
Yeah.
And we've been doing it together for 12 years. And we do parties. And so I was raised having to know a very large variety of music.
By the way, this episode is brought to you by Musket Entertainment.
Okay.
So
You got so serious and so into it.
so here's the fact.
Okay.
I have never done a bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah.
Yes.
Oh, just kidding. Well, now I look stupid because I said it.
But it's okay. I am so afraid of doing a bar mitzvah because I have no idea what's involved. I've done a Greek wedding, a Brazilian wedding.
What was the wedding we did with the 27-course meal?
Oh, that was a Persian wedding.
That was my favorite wedding we've done. Was the
that was
Persian
great.
wedding. So anyway, he owns this company and we operate it together. I have a gig tomorrow that I'm doing for just a church. And so it's been a really big blessing being able to bless others with the ability for us to provide music for whatever event that is needed to be put on. So it's been great. We've been able to trade services with people. It's been fun. Like, you just bring the life of the party wherever you go, and people know you for doing that. So I think it's been a blast.
Yeah, I think one episode we're going to talk about specifically about music entertainment because I feel like that helped me teach you work ethic and how to deal with clients and provide good service and, you know, all of that stuff that is important to grow up into a good, responsible individual. That was a big part of us growing up because we did most of those events together. Mm-hmm. I think another episode should be about weddings, and we should just talk about everything we have learned from doing all these weddings. I think we've done maybe a couple hundred weddings.
Yeah, probably a little bit more. Yeah. That's crazy.
So
cool. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
We're going to talk about music today.
So finish the sentence for me.
Okay.
Music makes the people
come together.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, that is a Madonna song called Music, and she sings, "Music makes the people come together."
Music. I know last time we were here, we said we may talk about dancing, but I think dancing should be a total
separate podcast
because I have so much that I want to talk about today, and I feel like we're not even going to have time to go over that.
I made notes, but I feel like we're just going to get through your notes. This might be a part 2 as well.
I have a few pages of notes.
Oh, wow. I don't have a few pages.
Okay.
I have a page.
All right.
So
And I have a fun game for you.
Okay, let's do this then. Why don't you host the first music podcast, part 1, and I will host part 2.
All right.
So I will put my notes away.
Okay.
And you can host part 1. I will host part 2.
All right.
Great.
Well, welcome to part 1 of music. All right, I'm going to start by asking you a question.
Okay.
What is one song that when you hear it reminds you of us and why?
Define us, like you and I?
Yeah. Let's say, okay. So let's say 10 or 15 or maybe 20 years from now, you're going to be listening to the radio and the song comes up and you're going to say, that song reminds me of my dad and I.
People are going to think this is really weird, but that's okay. So I have one or two. So the first one that popped into my mind was Sway by Michael Bublé.
Okay.
Because when I was a lot younger, we created a dance routine to this song. And whenever this song came on, we had, and we still have, I should say it's happening now. Whenever that song comes on, it's just this instantaneous, like, I just want to get up on my feet and dance. So I know that song definitely makes me think of us, of just dancing together. Mm-hmm. My mom isn't a big dancer, so it was always whenever we went to family parties or weddings mm-hmm. or whatever, like, it was just you and I out on the dance floor. So that one for sure. And I'm sure there's plenty more. I'll leave it at that. That was probably the first one that came to mind.
Okay. So the song that reminds me of us is Starry Eye Surprise.
Oh, that one too. That's a good one.
Starry Eye Surprise.
Starry Eyed Surprise.
By Paul Oakenfold.
Oakenfold, yeah.
And every time we're doing events and I throw this song out, we make eye contact, right?
What song is it?
We're going to dance all night to this DJ.
Oh, I thought you were referring to a different song.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
that's
that song. Yeah. I love that song.
Okay. Share your experience growing up with music.
The first thing that comes to mind is just a lot. Like, there was just a lot of music growing up. Whenever we got into the car, whenever we were cleaning the house, all the time, whenever I walked into your office, something was playing. So I grew up with a lot of, like, a very vast, just a wide variety of different types of music. So I grew up listening to reggaeton, listening to country music, listening to pop music. Like you always had what was on the top 20 downloaded somewhere, just ready to go. But I was raised on 80s music, 90s music. Like I have a special place in my heart for 90s music because of how much it was playing when I was growing up. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, growing up there was just a lot. There was just a lot of music. And so when I go to school and people would ask me like, "What's your favorite kind of music?" What's your favorite kind of music? I was like, "I grew up on rock. I grew up on country. I grew up on hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. It was all there. I mean, even some parts of rap was even in there too. You know, that 90s style
Yeah.
hip hop rap was even there too. So yeah, there was just a lot. I just grew up on a lot of stuff. And then you're Hispanic,
Yeah.
so we listened to a lot of Hispanic music whenever we were down in Mexico. So yeah, lots of different types of music.
Yeah. I remember buying your iPod
Mm-hmm.
at a very early age. And I think I was excited about that because I wanted to share the music that I was liking at the time. I wanted you to listen to everything that I was listening to, but I think I was very careful to make sure I gave you the edited versions.
Yeah, and we can get into this a little later too. But everything that you gave me was what was out there. Like whenever people ask us when we do events, you know, like, oh well, we only want clean stuff. We only want clean stuff. And I was like, well, half the song might have a curse word, but the other half is innuendos. Like you can't block these things out. Either you
Right.
understand them or you don't. So yeah, there was always being able to have an edited version of something, but on the receiving end of that, there was also the having innuendos that you can't really edit out all the time.
Right. I think that every generation has those songs that are
Mm-hmm.
like pushing the limits. I remember Wild Thing and Funky Cole
Mm-hmm.
Medina. Those were top 40 songs, but it was about sexual stuff. And nowadays, it's really hard to listen to music, at least what's in the top 40, without listening to music that has all those innuendos.
Without
Um,
stumbling across something that's going to be sexual or offensive in some way.
there's some songs that are playing now that every other sentence there's a bleep, and you're like, well, what does this song really say? Because I can't understand it because every other sentence is bleep.
And I think that's why I enjoyed listening to so much 80s and 90s music growing up because not everything was about sex. Some of the things were just partying with your girlfriends or hanging out or going to the beach. Like not everything was crazy. And because the 90s was such a kickstarter for electronic music too, it was more of an appreciation for sound than it was an appreciation for the innuendos that were being created in the music.
Right. All right. So the question is, how old should a child, specifically a daughter, be before parents can back off about music? What do you think?
So I think as we ask these questions about different topics, regardless of what they may be, like know your kid. If you have a child who is rebellious and anxious to get away and to fight back, like maybe be a little bit more stern about music. Those innuendos go a lot of different ways. And I'm not a parenting expert. I don't have a kid. So in no way am I trying to tell anyone how to parent their child. But I think it's good to know your kid because what's out there right now is not clean, is not cute, especially because the world of rap music has become very vulgar and very sexual, and regardless of how well you protect your kid, that music's out there and they're going to find it
Mm-hmm.
whether you want them to or not. It's playing all over the high schools. It's playing all over middle school. Like the time that I was opened up to music in the most vulgar way was in high school because it was just playing constantly around me.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a set age that you can put on something like that. I think it's better to know your kid. I would just say set the expectation at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest going into middle school. Like that's a good suggestion for a lot of conversation starters is going into middle school. But I would just say maybe just sit and have an honest conversation and say, "Hey, listen, this music's out there. It's not cute and it's not it well one it's not glorifying to the Lord." Make that known and to say that like you don't have to live out what this music's telling you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say just have that opening conversation of just saying like, "Hey, here's what we think. Here's what the Bible says. We're not saying to denounce it and to make yourself look crazy when the conversations come up about why you don't listen to these types of music, but to be safe and to be responsible with your brain. Like, that music does stuff to your brain and to your body, and to be careful what you're feeding it.
Yeah. And I think if you really know who you are and what you believed in, and what's important, even if you're listening to this music, you're going to be smart enough and conscious enough to say, okay, I like I like the sound, I like the music, but I know that these lyrics are not who I am, or these lyrics are not going to tell me to do that because I know better than that. So I pulled up a couple lyrics to some songs,
Oh, good.
and I want to see if you recognize what the song is, and I want you to tell me what you think about
Okay.
these lyrics.
Okay.
Okay. Shawty, I don't mind if you dance on a pole. That don't make you a hoe. Shawty, I don't mind when you work until 3 if you're leaving with me. Go make that money, money, money. Your money, money, money. 'Cause I know how it is. Go and handle your biz and get that money, money, money. You can take off your clothes as long as you're coming home. Girl, I don't mind. Do you recognize the song?
Shawty, I don't mind. That one? Is that it?
Yes.
What's the name of that song?
Money, money,
Money,
money.
yeah.
Is I Don't Mind by
I
Usher.
Don't Mind by Usher, yeah. I think we forget that the secular world's out there sometimes, especially if you live in a neighborhood like we do. It's very suburban. I'm sure a lot of, I mean, we live in a city, obviously, but it's not a big metropolitan city. Our downtown's very small. And so we forget that the secular world is out there like that, and people live that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think we forget that sometimes, that people actually live like that. I'm sure there's not a strip club for miles around here, or even a decent quote club is even within miles of here, but like, we just forget people live that way. And there are these big time hotshot music executives that record and live this way, and this is the lifestyle that they bring.
Yeah.
And some 16-year-old high school girl doesn't need to know that that's what her future is.
Right. Yeah. I just feel like these lyrics are so degrading to women. I like the music, and it's very memorable. And when you really listen to the lyrics, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that so many people complain about how women are treated in so many other avenues or areas, but they're okay with artists putting this out.
Yeah.
And we're not going to get into politics and about the First Amendment and all this stuff, but it just seems like it's much more okay now than it was 10, 20, or 30
Sure.
years ago. All right, here's another one. Love me tonight, girl. We won't meet again. Don't fight the feeling, 'cause love ain't a sin. Let your body decide what it does. It's okay, baby, 'cause everybody F's. And I'm just abbreviating. Let your body decide what it does. It's okay, baby, 'cause everybody F's. I know it's straight to the point, but I'd rather be straight up and straightforward instead of playing with your heart and your mind. Games are a waste of time. Now we can do the nasty and do what we do and see what it does. Either we're going to love what we do to each other and just let it be what it was. No harm, no foul, no commitment, no vows.
That's Everybody F's by Pitbull.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, that's from his Planet Pit tour.
And everybody, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
It's a great song, but if you take a minute and listen to the lyrics,
I'm
it's
sure a
crazy.
lot of Pitbull songs are like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said before, we forget that the secular world's out there, and it's crazy and it's nasty, but it's out there. And whatever type of music you want to put that to, fine. But the lyrics are still there. I mean, other than the F word on there, like, everything else was an innuendo. Like, if you block that out, you're
Right.
listening to an instrumental song,
Right.
and all you hear is the la 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 la. That's all you hear from it. And so when people ask us, they're like, "Well, can I get the clean version?" I'm like, "Oh, you want the instrumental version? Well, that's what
Yeah.
you're gonna receive."
Yeah. It's interesting that earlier you mentioned how you just got exposed to all this music in high school. And that is why I stopped doing high school dances. Because it was very difficult to go and play the music that the administrators or the organizers wanted you to play, and at the same time make the students happy.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to listen to music that was not okay for the parents. So I felt like it was really hard to make everyone happy.
But I have to say, though, so when we were up at summer camp this year, at the last night of camp, we did this big dance party. And we got there, and they did this dance party, and it was just an hour of dancing for all these high school kids. And all they played was this electronic techno instrumental music. And it was so difficult to, like, attempt to enjoy myself because that's all I was listening to. And I think we forget that there is clean music out there. It's there.
Yeah.
It's hard to find, sure. And it's like, if we're going to expose people to, quote, secular music that does have innuendos or whatever, like, there are clean versions of things, but there's just this giant meter of, like, how far is too far with music, especially doing church events too, to where it's like, this is a great song, it doesn't say any bad words. It's like, yeah, but did you hear the innuendo that's in there?
Yeah.
Oh, well, kids aren't going to pick up on that. I'm like, kids pick up on a lot more than you think they do. So, yeah, it's easy to just assume and say, oh, well, it's fine. Like, play the song. It's not a big deal. But listen to the innuendo that's coming out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I do a lot of church events, and it's a challenge picking a playlist that is clean and is fun and is going to create a good event.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. I want to talk about what the Bible says about music.
Oh, good.
So now we're gonna get into a little bit of scripture. The truth is that music is all over the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Yeah, it's all over the book of Psalms.
Yeah. As early as Genesis 4, there's this guy named Jubal, and he's the fourth generation from Adam. And according to the Bible, he is the first person who plays the harp and the flute. We see David in Psalms.
Yeah, dance and sing before the Lord.
That's all it is. It's just songs.
Yeah.
Then we get into Solomon and his Song of Songs.
Yeah.
If you read that, I could totally see Ed Sheeran, singing to Song of Songs, right?
Yeah.
We see the Israelites celebrating with tambourines when they exit Egypt. And then in Matthew and Mark, we see that Jesus sings hymns with his disciples. And all the way to Revelation 15, where John describes the angels singing to the song of the Lord. Right? So there's music throughout the Bible, but the Bible never tells us what it's okay to listen to and what is not okay to listen to. What it does say, though, is that we should make music to the Lord in worship full of the Holy Spirit. So we were talking about secular music, and we were saying how not all secular music is bad. There's some secular music that is very spiritual to me. Like when you listen to it and you listen to the lyrics, it's music that you could use to have a connection with the Lord. Going back to secular music takes me back to a Easter Sunday, and I remember this day because it was very powerful. We were at church and they played Jesus's road to the cross to make you feel my love. And at the time, Adele was singing that song. So it was very popular at the time. And just listening to the lyrics of the song and seeing Jesus's journey to the cross. And when it says, there's nothing I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. And then you see Jesus being raised up on the cross. That hit me really hard, but yeah, there's very few songs that you can, bring into church, but it's great when you can find those.
I think we've put a big discredit on secular music, but there's some songs out there that when you hear them, it's like, dang, that hit me in the soul. That hit me in the freaking soul. I remember the first time I heard Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran, and I remember just sitting there and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's poetry right there.
Yeah.
And it's great when you can find music like that brings the feels.
Or hearing I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston. Like sitting and hearing that song, just Like there's some pieces of music that just bring me to tears because it's like, wow, I can't believe something like that meant something that crazy, you know? Or yeah, we could go on and on about just songs that are crazy that just move you to tears sometimes.
So one of the songs that I really liked a couple years ago was Bruno Mars, "Just the Way You Are."
Yeah.
And it really reminded me of you or mom or, you know, any girl that you really love, because the song was clean and I don't know, it was like very loving to someone that you thought was beautiful.
It's the same for What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction. Like it's clean, it's loving, it's just a, you know, you don't see what I see in you because you don't think you're as beautiful as I think you are.
Yeah.
Like, don't change anything about yourself, you know? Like, don't put all the makeup on. Don't, you know, wear all the fancy clothes. Like, you're loved just the way that you are. So, yeah, sometimes you find those little bits and pieces of beautiful music that are just about love, that are just about purity, that are just about, it's clean, it's pure, it's loving. Like that song by Bruno Mars, listen to everything else he's made. I can assure you it's not as clean or as kind as that, but you find those tiny little instances of like, oh wow. It's the reason I love Michael Bublé so much. Because it's just about being close. It's just about being in love. It's about
Yeah.
everything that he writes. Like his last album that he just put out was called like My Funny Valentine, When I Fall in Love, La Vie en Rose. Like
A lot of awesome remakes
lot
that
of
are
amazing
just classic
remakes.
and about love.
And I think that's why he's probably one of my favorite artists of all time, is because I know I can turn on what he has and it's going to be about love. I know what I'm going in expecting.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of parents out there who don't keep up with what their kids are listening to?
Oh, for sure. It's easy to get stuck in a generation. I get it. I did it for a while. I was on a really big 90s kick for a long time, and I didn't listen to a single thing that was going on the radio. Then about 3 months later, I went and listened to the radio, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know this was happening. I didn't even know this came out. And so, yeah, I think it's easy to get stuck in a generation of music that you like or that you relate to and forget to listen to what's actually being on the radio.
Yeah.
But I think it's huge for parents to listen to what is happening on the radio right now. It's what I love, that you always knew what was happening. You always knew what people were listening to. There was a good, solid period of time where you were showing me music.
Yeah, and I think it was very helpful that I had to be up to date with music because of having to DJ parties, you know, and just knowing what was on the top 40. So I always knew what you were listening to, or you were listening to what I was putting in your iPod. And I think that was an advantage for us in how we connected. And we were able to listen to music together and discuss what that music was about and what you liked about it and what you didn't like.
And I would suggest to parents out there, ask yourself the question, what are you concerned about when you think about your child listening to music? Are you concerned about the curse words? Are you concerned about the innuendos? Are you concerned about the beat? Are you concerned about the genre? Ask yourself what you're concerned about and talk about it. Bring it into conversation and just say, hey, I'm not comfortable with you listening to these types of music because of the curse words that are in it. I will buy you the edited version of this song without the curse words. If you're concerned with the innuendos, have a conversation about it. I'm not comfortable with you listening to this music because it talks about some sort of sexual, you know, instance that I don't want flowing through your ears. If that's the case, women that are listening, girls that are listening, it's out there regardless.
Sure.
But be respectful of what they pay for, because music isn't free. I think when you pay for your own music, that's a different story. But be cautious of what you're putting in your ears, because as a young woman, being fed these things from society about what you're supposed to look like, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to dance, how you should let men treat you isn't okay. And so know what you're putting in your ears, and just say, like, is this something I want to be feeding myself? And if it's not something you want to be feeding yourself, then don't listen to it.
Yeah, because we mentioned last week that teenagers' minds are not fully developed, right?
And parents, it's always going to be there. That music is out there regardless of what you do or how much you limit them. They're going to find it. It's all over the schools because somebody else's parent wasn't as cautious. There were plenty of times when I was in middle school or high school that I was like, wow, I didn't get this at home. I'll listen to it from my friend's iPod at school because we'll find it wherever we go. But there came a point as a young woman where I had to ask myself, like, do I want to be feeding myself this because it's nasty? And there was a period of time where I was like, yeah, I do want to feed myself these things because if men will like me, if I'm doing what they're saying I should be doing in the songs.
Yeah.
So
All right. Okay. Well, I have a game for you.
ooh, I love games.
Okay. Because this show is about fathers and daughters, we're going to focus on female artists.
Okay.
Okay. So I am going to tell you the name of an artist.
Okay.
And you have to describe them with one word.
All right.
One word.
One word.
First one. Katy Perry.
Obnoxious.
Taylor Swift.
One word? I can't use two words?
No, just one word.
Pop.
Adele.
Soul.
Lady Gaga.
Crazy.
Britney Spears.
Fantastic.
Beyonce.
Queen.
Ew. Madonna.
Can I change Beyonce's and
I
make
knew you were
Madonna
gonna do
Queen?
this. I thought you were going to use Queen for Adele.
Adele is soul or feelings. So let's go
Okay.
back. Do Beyonce again.
Beyonce.
Tight.
Okay. Madonna.
Queen.
Pink. See, I knew you were going to...
Dang it, you're doing these in the wrong order. Punk.
Okay, that's a good one. Mariah Carey.
Dang.
Mimi.
What?
Mimi.
Who's Mimi?
Mariah Carey.
Oh, what was the last? No one calls her that anymore.
She's Mimi. That's her alter ego.
Okay.
Butterfly. We'll call her Butterfly.
All right, fine.
Cardi B. Oh.
Oh. That's my word for her. Meow.
Okay.
You know. She's the only one that gets two words. You know.
You know. Ariana Grande.
Eh.
Whitney Houston.
Oh, girl. Oh, Whitney Houston. Oh. Legend.
Celine Dion.
Epic.
Christina Aguilera.
Is there a word like for vomit?
Vomit.
Vomit, like throw up. Is there like an adjective for vomit? Disgusting.
Okay. All
Can't
right.
stand her voice.
That was interesting.
Can I ask you to describe male artists in one word?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Go.
Justin Bieber.
Changed.
Michael Jackson.
King.
Ed Sheeran.
Sexy. Not him, but his music. He makes a lot of sexy music.
All right. Elton John.
Genius.
I thought you were going to say Queen. Kanye West.
MAGA.
Blake Shelton.
Country.
Lionel Richie.
Soulful.
Usher.
Dancer.
Justin Timberlake.
I want to use dancer for him too. Groundbreaking.
Eminem.
Ballsy.
Bruno Mars.
Eh.
All right, then. I guess. Sam Smith.
Whiny.
Aww.
He whines too much.
Oh, man. That's upsetting. I love him.
Well, I like his music too,
Okay,
but he
all right,
whines.
last
Like
one.
I would listen to his music if I was feeling
All the
whiny that
feels?
day.
Okay, fine. Okay, last one. Jonas Brothers.
That's not one artist. That's like three
Suck it
artists
up.
at the same time.
Jonas Brothers. A lot's writing on this.
Love Bug.
Oh, that was gross. I loved it.
All right. I was gonna ask you about your 3 top artists of all time. Do you know those?
No.
No.
You could not ask me to pick. Do you?
Uh-huh.
Okay, go.
I can name my top 5.
Okay.
Okay. Pet Shop Boys,
Okay.
Depeche Mode, New Order, 9 Inch Nails, in OMD,
Okay.
Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. I was a child of the 80s and I was into new wave music,
Mm-hmm.
and that has stayed with me. I used to listen to Nine Inch Nails when I was confused and angry. So I, I still enjoy their music when I'm feeling confused and angry.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't pick my top five. I just like so many different songs from so many different artists. I just couldn't. Like, I love 80s music. I love 90s music. I like what's been put out there today. So to pick like a favorite song or a favorite artist is just too much.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it's like on my top five is definitely like Islands in the Sun by Weezer.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
one of my
knew that.
favorite songs of
Mm-hmm.
all time.
Mine is Bop by
Bop.
Hanson.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like Glitter in the Air by Pink. It's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of the songs that I like are from different genres, different artists, different everything. So I couldn't pick.
I've been listening to a lot of reggaeton lately.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot. And a lot of it is dirty, but I just love the beat and it just makes me dance all the time.
yeah.
I know we got into country a lot a couple years ago, and I think we did that because top 40 music was getting pretty raunchy. So I'm like, all right, let's experience country, and we started getting into that, going to concerts. So yeah, music has been a big part of our lives, and
And now you got Old Town Road remix
oh,
out.
I love that song.
That country pop vibe is just so much.
Mm-hmm.
Or what's that new one that's out right now? Like
The Get Up,
the Get Up. There
the
it
Get
is.
Up. I don't know how to do the Get Up dance.
I don't either. I don't really think we should try.
No.
But
But yeah, this has been fun. I know we're gonna have a lot more about music, and so next time you're gonna host. You're gonna ask me some questions about music.
so yeah, Dad's get in the dirt. Listen to what's on the top 40 right now, and maybe just find one or two songs that you resonate with. Just one or two songs from the top 40 that you're like, okay, this isn't horrible.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's actually pretty good. And daughters, kick it back a little bit. Jump into the 80s, jump into the 90s, and see what's out there. It's good stuff. Jump into each other's worlds a little bit and listen to what each other like, and find one or two things that you can relate to. And I think that'll help the culture of your relationship and how you listen to music move forward.
A great way to connect with your daughter is by taking her to concerts. Remember, we went to concerts a lot.
We still do.
We still do, but I remember one of our first concerts being Hillary Duff. Then we went to go see Miley Cyrus together. That's before the giraffe hairdo days. That's when she was still Hannah Montana.
And honestly, one of the best concerts I think I ever went to was the Erasure concert, where I had no idea who Erasure was, and you had an extra ticket.
Oh no, they're on
You
my
gotta,
top five.
I know you can't put them
too.
on there now. Sorry. Anyway, so we went down to San Diego and we made a day out of it. Like, we drove down there, we got street tacos and hung out. And I remember going in there and just being blown away by the music that was being put into my ears. And I had never listened to Erasure before. And
Talk about Queen, Andy Bell's.
oh yeah,
Queen.
freaking Queen. That Thrasher shirt was everything. So put yourself in each other's worlds a little bit. And like, I went in there being like, ugh, I'm gonna go to a old people concert. Like, what the heck? I remember sitting in there and just being like, this is amazing. I can't believe I haven't sat and listened to this before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so music is very influential, but it can also be a good way to connect to each other, right? So make sure you take advantage of that. Talk about music, enjoy music together, and just enhance your relationship with your daughter.
high five.
So,
Yeah.
but before we close today, I just want to say a big thanks to our friend Chris Merrill for putting together, creating, and providing the opening and closing track to our podcast.
Shout out to CG Merrill.
CG Merrill, aka Backbeat Entertainment.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, man. We love you.
Love you, bro.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode. I know a lot of this was just us talking about the music that we like. I don't know what the next episode is going to be about.
That's good.
That's that's good. But if you have any episode ideas, just go ahead and email us. And
until next time,
goodbye.
We're going to go make tacos and hang out now. See ya.
Boom.
Mic drop. I have to pee so bad.
Thank you for listening to the Fathers and Daughters podcast, a Musket Entertainment production. For questions, comments, or topic ideas, email fdpodcast@yahoo.com. Please subscribe and tune in every week for new episodes.